welcome back to Big Girl Hunters. You join me now, it's March 2026, so springtime, the sun is just about coming out, the flowers are blooming, the birds are chirping and the carp are starting to wake up. So I thought it was a really perfect time to talk through some of my spring fishing from a few years ago. I haven't done a video on my personal sort of syndicate fishing for a couple of seasons now. One, due to working in time restraints, but two, I like to put it all together and actually produce a film. So we're going to take this back. I'll probably do a video covering sort of the spring 2024 and then a video from last year, because last year, 2025, I had my best spring yet. The evolution of my spring fishing in my particular syndicate, where I've got some targets, has definitely evolved over the last couple of seasons. And it kind of really started in 2024, where an area that I wanted to focus the year before but couldn't really get in there, I managed to actually get in there and actually get some good fish. I was going down the pond and actually doing a filming session with my good mate Keith. Sadly just left CCMore actually. He's going on to do different things outside of the fishing industry, so good luck Keith. We were doing a sort of an approach to my spring fishing and did a few hours in this particular swim. There's a sanctuary part of the lake which cannot be fished. Used to be able to fish it, but fishing got banned there eventually. It was just the best thing to do for the fish and for fish safety. But essentially, it's a very shallow area with a lot of snags, a lot of shelter, and there's a lot of clay beds, a lot of naturals in there, some reeds. But basically, it's a safe zone that's nice and warm and shallow in the spring where they like to hold up before spawning, where they can't be fished for. It's basically, to get to that sanctuary, there's a channel. And in this particular swim, you can kind of fish the entrance of the channel. Some people like fishing under the snag, but I like fishing in the entrance of the channel. It's where the fish patrol and it sees a lot of traffic. I did a few hours in this particular swim whilst we were filming that film, and it was really muddy that year. We'd had a lot of flood and it was a pure mud pit. The reason why I managed to get so much time in that swim that particular year, it seemed like I was the only person who was mental enough to go in there and actually deal with the mud. Some of the mornings I had, you put a ground sheet in within 10 minutes, you had an inch of wet mud, like Glastonbury festival style mud. It was awful. So I did this session. I ended up doing a few hours in that particular swim. We made the film. And one of my mates, old Ken dog, Ken the Nailer, had caught one out of the shelf, completely other end of the lake, and a shelf that sort of pushes onto the main bowl of the lake. Him and his guest, I think, had caught a fish, which that time of year doesn't do many bites. So I thought, you know what, I'll go over there and I'll try some zigs. So I ended up fishing that session, did a couple of nights, nothing, no bites. A few days later, the moon was due, but I decided, you know what, if I'm going to catch anything this spring, I'm going to have to endure this mud, essentially. I think it was a couple of days before the moon was due in. We had some really nice low pressure coming at the same time, which is quite rare this time of year. And I ended up doing a quick overnighter and nicked one. A fish I'd wanted to catch for a while, actually, a fish called twisted mouth. It's got a bit of a twisted mouth on one side, but it's a beautiful fish. I think it was 39. It has done 40 before, or has done 40 since, should I say. Beautiful dark colours. And that was kind of the little tick in March that gave me the energy. Do you know what? If you put the effort in, if you're willing to endure this mud, there's bites to be had. I then, over the next couple of weeks and the rest of March, I ended up doing 2 or 3 sessions in that swim for no avail. The fish were definitely there. I just couldn't buy a bite. And I was still working out this particular swim. You're kind of fishing in very shallow water, and I was messing around with different rigs, different approaches, different spots within spots, and really sort of homing my approach. And I definitely, on reflection, I've got my approach wrong during those next few sessions in March. And it wasn't until April that it started to really kick off again. So basically I had some time off again for the next moon it was. So a month had passed essentially with no avail. Not much was coming out of the lake, to be fair. I was due down for a session, a 4 or 5 day session, alongside bringing one of my mates, Harv, Ollie Fisher, the big lad, Harv the Carve we call him. He was down for a few nights as well. And during this time, one of the members, mate of mine, Rusty, one of the Corder boys, he was actually arranged to do a bit of an underwater film with some topography on our lake in that area that I was fishing. I ended up fishing down the other end. I was waiting because there was a few fish showing, and I was waiting all morning to go to the toilet. I was holding out, and I eventually just had to go leave Ollie with my rods. He was fishing next to me. I was walking around, and one of the members, the old ninja, he stopped me and was chatting away, and I was kind of thinking, really, my stomach's bubbling, but I really need to go to the toilet. And luckily, because he kept me there chatting for a few minutes, I heard my line ripping, and we saw just my line pulling up, like past the spit. And Ollie was obviously into a fish, so I just sprinted round and grabbed the rod off him and had this battle for literally like 20 minutes. There we go, fish number 2 for me this season. Another one on the old Pro Stem Triple X mixture. Absolute banger. This one's a real nice scaly one. I'll show you the other side. It's 29.15, almost that 30 on the nose, but didn't quite scrape it. Get this side, it's got like half a ling scales. Absolutely stunning fish. This one beat me up big time. One fisher was there to help. There it is. What a fish, eh? What an absolute beauty. Get her back. Now, going back to the Zipography lads, unfortunately the water clarity just wasn't good enough. It wasn't happening. So Rusty and Elliot, and I think they had Dave, I think it was, Zipography lad, they decided to just knock it on the head and just go off to another venue. I think they might have gone to Europe. I can't remember what happened. So it left that swim back open, so which I moved in. Essentially moved off of off an area where you're getting a bite, which probably isn't always the best move. But I thought, you know what, get back in there. A month had passed, the water had got warmer, more fish had started to collect in the sanctuary. Yeah, so I'm glad I did, because that next morning I had a right result. I had 3 fish. I had a fish called Bubbles, which sadly passed away this winter at £40. Oh, there we go. Fish number 3 for me, spring. It's Bubbles, a £40.10. Another one that on the Triple X and a Pro Stem combo. Some snails in there as well. First 40 of the year, get it up for you. Absolute beast, real stomach heavy this one. Scaly plated one. Absolute beast. I'll show you the other side. And we'll get some returning shots of it. Don't go, baby. No. I don't know which side's better, they're both banging. There we go. Sick carp. It's beautiful dint and strain mirror with lots of like scales on it, and it was just bursting at the seams. It was really fat and plump and looked amazing. Probably one of the best times it's looked. It went on to then spawn pretty heavily and never really regained the sort of shape that as when I caught it. I also caught this really nice 31-pound mirror of overslang mouth, a fish that beat me up. I didn't recognise the fish, and I don't know if I've seen it since, or if I have, I haven't noticed it. And it's one of my favourite fish. It's not a named fish or a target. It's just a beautiful, dark, long, overslung mouth mirror. It doesn't come out too much, so I was really pleased with that. And then I ended up finishing things off with a 30-pound common. So an amazing session, really. Fourth and final fish of the session, I imagine. There she is. 31.5-pound common. You beauty. You know, I went home pretty happy after that result. Bubbles was one of the targets that I wanted, and to catch it at £40, I was absolutely buzzing with that. A week went past and I was back down the lake. Still plenty of fish in there, not quite as many as there was the week before, but just repeating what I'm doing, you know, honing the rigs, honing the sort of bite times, when to reel in, when to not, how much bait, all that sort of stuff. I ended up having a £20 common, I think it was a mid-20 male common, which was a really nice fish. Again, these fish don't always come out. They're sort of some of the rarer ones, and they're just really nice fish. And because they get overlooked by the big girls, it's just nice to see them. And then I also had another fish, I think it's 36, a fish called Lumpy, which is quite a friendly one, to be honest. It's normally a mirror that comes out 3 or 4 times a year. That was another successful session, and I was really getting a buzz for this particular area. By this point, you sort of, you know, your first week in May, and I'm thinking, I've not got much time left really until they spawn. By this point, a lot of fish were starting to get caught in other areas of the lake as well, sort of out in the deeper bowl, out from the bay, on the shelf. And on my next session, I was lucky again to get back in there. I managed to get another nice scaly, I believe this one was 37 or 38 pounds as well. Again, another beautiful fish, dint and strain mirror, and a perfect example of the carp that are in this lake. It has such a variety of shaped carp and you know, full of big ones, so beautiful place to fish. That weekend, I think Kenny, who I mentioned earlier, old Kenny Nailer, managed to have one of the big ones, a big Dinton mirror. I think it's like upper 40s. I think that fish will probably do 50 at some point, or it might have already done 50. And it was starting to become apparent that they were starting to leave this area, so the window was starting to close. This time I was fishing with my good mate Sutcliffe, Chris, having a bit of a social, and he was in the swim next door, and he actually picked up another one of my targets. It's really nice, upper 30, getting close to 40 pounds, really nice dark comment, beautiful fish. And I ended up that session losing one. That was my only lost fish from that year. I was gutted, because I've been sort of catching everything I'd nailed, but you can't win them all. And then my mate Mitch caught the PB common, a fish that I've caught couple of seasons ago, spawned out, but he caught it at a big weight. I think it was around 45 pounds, big framed common, which I absolutely love. Again, another friendly fish, but it's mint. For a fish that gets caught a couple of times a year, it really is quite mint, and I'd love to catch it again pre-spawning, sort of over the 40 pound mark. And then later on that morning, they started spawning. So that was the end of my spring fishing. However, I still had one more day left. I'd taken some time off holiday, so I decided to pack up quickly, phone Harv and see if he fancied doing a night somewhere. We settled on going to Limbrook, a day ticket water dive. You might have seen me fish before, beautiful place. And we ended up doing a quick overnighter there. We both had a couple of fish, couple of stockies. I think Harv had a 20, and just had a kebab and just had a really nice time. Happy days. And then went off, and that was the end of that. Spent some time tidying up my gear and all the rest of it, and was waiting for them to spawn. However, when the lake was close to spawning, I was walking it a fair bit. I just was there so much that year. I just really was in tune with the place and just missed it. So I was walking around, having a little plot around in the boat and all the rest of it. And I noticed that quite a few fish that I'd seen on my sort of little adventures down the lake weren't fully spawned. So that year, I think this is the first time I've done it, I ended up fishing the opening. It was just me and this lad Kieran. We were waiting down there in the morning. There was fish showing everywhere. I decided to go and swim 7, which is like commanding the shelf and some shallow water. There were so many fish there that morning. Within 10 minutes of having the rod out, I could see across the way that Kira's into a fish. And as I was watching him on the binoculars play this chunk, my left-hand rod absolutely melted off. And I had one myself, a cheeky little 30-pound common.
Fish number 1 summer, 32.5. Dinton common, nice fatty. This one obviously hasn't spawned, so there might be a few of the big girls knocking around. Right, let's get her back and see if we can get another one. Banging.
I ended up putting a load more bait in, and that was it. It was a bit of a weird one. I stayed, I think, for a couple of days. It was really hot. And then I think, if memory serves me right, they might have started spawning again. I can't quite remember, but there was no action. And then that was a sign for me to kind of really give them a little break. I ended up going down the lake because Mitch, the lad who caught the common earlier, was having a stag do down the lake. So I decided to get in there the night before. I was in swim 9. There was a lot of fish showing when I got there. And earlier the next morning, I had a nice 30-pounder. I didn't film it, I don't think, but I've got some nice pictures of it, and I'll show you that now. And then, we ended up having a really good social. That was good fun. The next time I got down to the lake was the moon was coming in October, one of the best moons. It was really, really warm. There was big winds and rain. I got absolutely soaked, and Harv was down for another guestie. So I was really excited for him to come down, hopefully get one, and me finish off the year and maybe nail a couple of big ones. It's really misty, really atmospheric as it is that time of year. The leaves were starting to brown. You get that sort of fresh smell in the air in the autumn mornings. I just love it in the autumn. It's really nice. You can really see the kind of turning of seasons. I did a couple of nights, ended up having 2 40-pounders and I think a mid-20 mirror, which I actually, one of the rare times I caught one in the rain down there. I got absolutely soaked, so I just unhooked it in the net and slipped it back. But these 2 chunky mirrors, I'll show you now.
Oh, and the old triple X pop up. Proper autumn banger, this one. Show the other side and I'll get her back. She's ready to go back. One of the Dinton strange mirrors in here. There we go, let's get her back. I think she is ready to go, to be honest. There we go, fish number 3 for me. I had a 20 pounder in the storm last night, and then early morning this one ripped off. It's 40 pounds 4. Oh, let's see if I can get it up for you. Absolute brute. Another one of the Dinton strain ones. But yeah, proving to be quite a nice autumn session for me. Spin it round for you. Some nice golden colours. Oh, straight in the ear. But there you go. Oh, get her back. She's ready to go. Oh, no, I forgot one.
Unfortunately, due to work, it's really busy. Obviously, I work in the retail business, so I couldn't actually manage to get down in November and December. So that was the last few fish that I'd had of that year. And then late December, I managed to sneak off to a cheeky trip to Belgium with Harv, and we caught a couple of nice fish. I think I had 5 or 6 on the first night. We went there because we heard it was warm from my local friends, and when we got there, we were greeted to like crazy cold temperatures, like -4 day temperatures. It dropped down to like -7 during the night, frost everywhere. But the first night I ended up catching like 6 or 7 fish. Harv ended up catching a few. I'll probably do another video on that at some point, little adventure. But that was pretty much my angling for the year. Mostly syndicate fishing, but a couple of sessions here and there at a day ticket, and then obviously that trip in Belgium. I know it's been a while since I put a Syndicate Diary out, but thank you for being patient. I will be putting out more videos. Lots has happened during that time. I went through a long-term breakup, remortgaged the house, met a new partner, all sorts of stuff has been going on. I even got sponsored by Solar during that time, and you'll see during the next video, you'll see lots of solar gear and lots of tips and tricks and that sort of stuff. So thank you for being patient. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the bank sometime. Tight lines.